They pushed you to the edge and waited. Not quietly, not patiently, but with that silent confidence people have when they believe they already know the ending of the story. They expected weakness. They expected to see cracks appear in your voice, in your posture, in your spirit. They believed the pressure would break you the way it breaks everyone else. Because pressure reveals people, and they were certain it would reveal something fragile inside you. So they applied more weight, more doubt, more whispers, more moments designed to make you question who you are. They watched carefully, almost eagerly, waiting for that one moment where your strength would collapse like a house built on sand. But something unexpected happened. The moment they thought would destroy you became the moment you discovered who you truly were. They had already written your story in their minds. A simple story, predictable, comfortable for them. You would struggle. You would panic. You would lose your balance when the ground beneath you started shaking. And eventually, you would give up. Because that's what they had seen before. People fold. People crumble. People lose themselves when the darkness closes in. So they expected weakness. They expected your voice to tremble. They expected your confidence to disappear. They expected you to shrink. But what they didn't understand, what they never saw coming, was that pressure doesn't always create weakness. Sometimes it reveals warriors. And the deeper they pushed you into the storm, the more they unknowingly awakened something powerful inside you. At first, the darkness felt heavy. Let's be honest. You felt the weight. You heard the voices that questioned your worth. You felt the sting of betrayal when people you trusted turned cold. Yes, that hurt. Yes, there were nights when the silence felt louder than any battlefield. Moments when your mind replayed every doubt they planted, every insult, every look that said, "You're not enough." And for a brief moment, you wondered if they were right. That's the thing about storms. They don't just shake the world around you. They shake the world inside you. But here's what they never expected. Instead of breaking, you started listening, not to their voices, but to the quiet voice inside yourself. The one they tried to bury. The one that whispered something powerful in the middle of the chaos. You are stronger than this. And slowly, something began to shift. The same pressure meant to crush you started shaping you. Like fire-shaped steel, every challenge hardened your patience. Every betrayal sharpened your awareness. Every moment of doubt forced you to look deeper within yourself. You stopped seeking approval. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped chasing the acceptance of people who only understood weakness. Instead, you started building something stronger. Silence, focus, discipline. And while they were still expecting weakness, you were quietly becoming unstoppable. Because real strength doesn't announce itself. It grows in silence. It grows in the early mornings when no one is watching. It grows in the moments where you choose resilience over revenge. It grows every time you refuse to become the broken version of yourself they tried to create. And that quiet growth, it terrified them, even before they fully understood it. At first, they laughed. Of course they did. People always laugh when they believe they're winning. They mocked your calmness. They misunderstood your patience. They thought your silence meant surrender. But slowly, confusion began to appear in their eyes. Because the version of you they expected never showed up. You didn't explode. You didn't beg. You didn't collapse under the pressure they created. Instead, you kept moving forward, calmly, steadily, like a mountain standing in the middle of a raging storm. And storms hate mountains because they can't move them. They can scream. They can crash. They can throw thunder and lightning across the sky. But the mountain remains, unmoved, unshaken, unbroken. And suddenly, they started asking themselves questions. Why isn't this working? Why aren't you reacting? Why aren't you falling apart? Did they really think you would stay weak forever? Did they really believe pressure would erase your strength? No, they underestimated the power of someone who refuses to quit. There is a moment in every transformation, a moment when the fire no longer feels like destruction, but like awakening, and you reach that moment. The moment when the opinions of others stopped controlling your direction. The moment when their criticism became background noise. The moment when their expectations lost their power over your life. And when that happened, everything changed. You started walking differently, standing differently, thinking differently, not because you wanted to prove them wrong, but because you had finally proven something to yourself. You were never weak. You were simply untested. And once life tested you, it revealed a strength they could never understand. Now the energy had shifted. The same people who expected weakness started feeling uncomfortable around your strength. Because confidence without arrogance is intimidating. Silence without fear is unsettling. Composure without explanation is powerful. You weren't loud. You weren't dramatic. You weren't chasing validation. And that made them nervous. Because people who rely on control cannot handle those who control themselves. So they tried again. More pressure, more criticism, more attempts to shake your foundation. But this time, you didn't even feel it. Because something powerful had happened inside you. You had grown beyond their reach. Their words no longer touched your identity. Their actions no longer dictated your peace. Their expectations no longer defined your path. You had become independent of their approval. And independence terrifies people who expected obedience. Look at how far you've come. There was a time when their opinions could ruin your entire day. A single comment could shake your confidence. A single betrayal could make you question your worth. But now you see clearly. You see the difference between noise and truth. You see the difference between criticism and projection. You see the difference between strength and performance. Because many people pretend to be strong. They shout, they argue, they dominate conversations. But the strongest person in the room often says the least, because they have nothing to prove. And you've reached that place. The place where peace matters more than arguments. The place where growth matters more than revenge. The place where self-respect matters more than validation. And ironically, that is the moment they finally realize something. They misjudged you. They expected weakness, but they created strength. They expected collapse, but they built resilience. They expected silence born from fear, but they awakened silence born from confidence. And now they must face the reality they tried to avoid. You didn't break. You evolved. Like a phoenix rising from ashes they thought would bury you. Like a star shining in a sky they tried to darken. Like fire that refuses to die no matter how many storms attempt to extinguish it. You became proof of something powerful. Adversity doesn't destroy everyone. Sometimes it reveals greatness. And now, something fascinating happens. You stop focusing on them entirely. Not because you hate them, but because you've outgrown the battlefield they were fighting on. Your life is no longer about proving anything. Not proving strength. Not proving intelligence. Not proving worth. You already know who you are, and that certainty changes everything. You move forward with quiet determination, building, learning, growing, while they remain trapped in the same cycle of judgment and expectation. And that is the ultimate transformation. When someone stops reacting to the past, they become free to create the future. So remember this moment. Remember the pressure. Remember the doubt. Remember the people who expected weakness when the storm arrived, because their expectations were never the truth. They were simply reflections of their own limitations. But you discovered something far more powerful. Your strength was never dependent on their belief in you. Your resilience was never dependent on their support. Your transformation was never dependent on their approval. It came from within, from the quiet decision to keep going when giving up would have been easier. From the silent promise you made to yourself to never become the broken version of you they predicted. And that promise changed everything. So the next time life places you under pressure, smile, because you've been here before. You know what pressure does. It doesn't create weakness. It reveals truth. And the truth about you is simple. You are stronger than their expectations, stronger than their doubts, stronger than the storms they try to trap you in. They expected weakness, but what they created was power, quiet, unshakable, unstoppable power. And now the story belongs to you.